Are we at peace? Finally, is peace come, or are we at war and on the verge of war? You know what? I don't know. Are we calling peace war and war peace? It's getting confusing. What is meant by these terms? Is peace through strength? Does that mean we don't have to go to war, or is that a preparation to go to war? So we're getting mixed messages today. What does the Bible have to say about these latter days when everyone's talking about peace and war at the same time? What should we believe? How should we steer our minds through these things? I'm Doug Levesque. This is the Bible Nation Society. We're glad to have you on our podcast. What are we standing up for? The ability, the freedom to do what's right as God defines that right.
God's the ultimate author of liberty.
We don't want government to stand between us and our freedom to do what is right.
All right, I'm Doug Levesque with Pastor Jason Georges, Jesse Levesque, Jackson Levesque. We're here to talk today about Trump and the Nobel Peace Prize. You know, much has been said about President Trump and his peace through strength and his diplomatic efforts around the world and all the different areas where he's kind of stepped in. Marco Rubio, the State Department, and he actually has negotiated several peace settlements. And it's either because America's being strong or people are afraid of what Trump may or may not do. Like, you're not quite sure exactly where he's going with it. Let's back off for a little while. Needless to say, people have been talking for months now about how he's worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize. And Israel and several other entities have endorsed him publicly at the United Nations recently and elsewhere to be a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize. Remember that Barack Obama was elected. I mean, he was in office, not 40 days, and he was given the Nobel Peace Prize having done nothing, right? But just get elected, or so to speak. So it really is kind of a liberal organization that leans that way. But I think it meant something to Trump because even he himself said, I'm interested in the Nobel Peace Prize, which, on that level, that's pretty good. I would like to be known for peace rather than to be known for war. So Trump has said it. He's been nominated for it. He's obviously desired it. And yet, as the Nobel is going around, it doesn't look like Trump's going to get it. It looks like they're snubbing him almost. And what I'm thinking, fellas, is this going to affect the president? Is this going to make him say, well, I tried. Let's go the other way? Because Trump does seem sometimes, like professional wrestling. It can go either way, right? So what now? I think the Bible tells us that we're to pray for peace, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We're people of peace. And yet the Bible says there is a time for war. And the latter days says that they'll be talking about peace when there's not really going to be attained. And so people are going to go for the bait. And it creates for interesting conversation, fellas. And probably the biggest thing is it's October 7th today, 2 years to the day that Israel's been at war over being attacked. And there's still 20 living hostages that are supposed to be agreed today that they will be returned, as well as another 20 plus dead hostages or the bodies of those hostages. And of course, that's being pushed hard upon Hamas, Israel militarily, and Trump diplomatically on all the other nations. And so everybody's waiting today with bated breath. I mean, literally, everybody's waiting. I'm waiting. These poor hostages have been underground, right? Their families are just suffering, even for the bodies of their loved ones. And Ben Shapiro interviewed Netanyahu today already and kind of asked him about these things and what's next. Because Netanyahu says, I really think this is going to happen. What's next? And that's kind of the question. And Netanyahu said, we're going to expand the Abraham Accords. And so you're talking Nobel Peace Prize. You're talking war at the same time. We're waiting for the hostages, and yet we're waiting for peace accords. These biblical, right? Biblical. And Trump just said, and I can't really do a good Trump, but he said, I've heard that there's not been peace in the area for 3,000 years, and I'm really honored that I could be a part of it. So we tease him because he puts himself out there. I mean, it's a softball, right? We pray for our president, but at the same time, who wants to be the president because you're going to get ripped on? So, I mean, guys, What do you think from Israel's perspective, Netanyahu's saying that? Are they on the cusp? Is it going to happen? Are we going to have peace? Are we going to have war? What's your 2 cents? Is it yay or nay? Are we going to see hostages today, freed today? Is Hamas going to give it up, or do you think it's all baloney?
Well, I mean, you have an aspiration. I mean, we've been down this road so many different times, and it has like bailed out at the very last second.
Bingo.
So it's like one of those kind of things. Is like until the
Until the hostages.
Until the hostages. I couldn't grab that
yeah.
word. Until the hostages are in Tel Aviv or in Israel's soil, protected. You can't hardly believe it.
So we're all optimists in here, I think, and so like we're praying for the right things, believing and hoping, but you don't have to be a diplomat to really say we'll believe it when we see it, because both sides have done different things.
Well, there's been ceasefires. It only did then rockets launching. So you don't.
And it's crazy. Hamas must be a death cult, because why else would they then now be doing anything? And so I know there's innocent people there. There are Christian people there, but a lot of them, this is their mentality and this is what they support, and it's a death cult. And at some point you have to take sides, and they have their own civil battles going on, because even Trump and Netanyahu said if you don't do this, then it's going to be catastrophic.
But even the hostages notwithstanding, and the humanity of the hostages, and any be returned to their family, and the auspices on how they were taken. And of course, October 7th. I think it's 1,700 people were killed. Yeah. And so it is massacre. Yeah. Columbia University today, which is a turn of events, actually allowed their students to put up a display memorializing the 1,700 that were killed. Yeah. And so they have mile longs of chairs with a picture. Because
everybody killed.
Yad Vashem, what is it called?
Yashem.
Where the Holocaust Museum in Israel, they have the picture. That's what Israel likes to do. They get the picture of the people that were killed in the Holocaust. So very similar to that.
Next to the Holocaust, this is the biggest slaughter of Jews.
A very powerful thing. Yeah. But Netanyahu is often compared to as being very Churchillian, right? Yeah. And Churchill could only be Churchill if there was a war going on. Yeah. He wasn't very powerful or influential before a war, and he wasn't. He lost.
They voted him out. Yeah.
Right. So part of me also thinks even if hostages are exchanged, or the hostages are returned, will this stop? Is Israel going to stop bombing Gaza?
No, that's a real thought. You don't have to be a diplomat to think that, like, okay, are we going to get the hostages and then do whatever? And
he'll come up, I mean, his whole platform has really kind of been to continue to bomb Gaza, and I get it. I'm for Israel's right to exist. Israel has the right to defend themselves. Yeah. But that's been kind of the currency, or that's what's been brokered on the peace here. Yeah. That's what's going to happen, and I don't know if even that's a real expectation. Yeah. If even after the hostages, are we going to have the end of this war?
Yeah, or the end of Netanyahu. I mean, he's been around since the 90s or whatever, so he's had his time. But you're right. I think 2 years ago when he said it's war, like he came out like he knew very clearly what it was, and set his nation on a course, and has stayed the course. I mean, that's very George Bush, right? Mm-hmm. Stay the course, and he stayed the course. And basically, they're there because like they put Iran down, Hezbollah down, Hamas down, the Houthis down. And now they're even talking to his country to say, forget the West Bank. We want sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, right? And he's got even, Trump saying, well, Hamas will make a great beachfront resort, and I'll take it. It'll be mine, sort of thing. And so what an incredible turn of events. Folks, read your Bible and believe in prophecy, because in 2 years' time, everything that it says, could absolutely come true in this way. And so we're following the diplomacy in the war, but it's amazing. And so, today my hopes are up for these hostages. Like, I woke up thinking about it today and thinking, there's some poor man, poor woman, and they really might not even know what's going on, and so I kind of woke up thinking about it today and thinking, Lord, please, whatever's happening, let's just get these hostages home.
Well, there's the hostages, and then there's also the fact that Hamas hides behind the Palestinian people.
Oh, yeah.
They won't let them all go. No. Because there's value to them being a somewhat of a buffer.
And they've really done this.
Yeah.
They've really done
the Palestinian, have had chances to condemn Hamas themselves.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and the prospects of peace are so interest to us, not only because of the hostages, not only because of the region and the humanitarian crisis, and the security of Israel, but we realize that the means of this peace is a covenant. And so, our prophetic ears tune up with the idea, he shall confirm the covenant with many. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
Yeah.
And talking about Israel being in this
7-year tribulation period.
Right.
That happens at the beginning of the tribulation period. And like October 7th, they called it the Al-Aqsa flood. The Hamas did. And they were about to, Israel was about to sacrifice a red heifer and basically do what they're doing now, and that is praying on the Temple Mount and all that kind of stuff. And so despite all that, it's happening, and Netanyahu's saying, let's expand this accords, right? And thank you, President Trump, for letting it happen. And I'm not saying, it's the Antichrist quotient pretty high in it all, but I mean, we're supposed to be praying for this stuff. Trump says if they don't do it today, there's going to be catastrophic consequences. So Trump talks peace, is persuasive in it, but at the same time, there's this like green light for Netanyahu, to do something, or for us to go back to Iran and do something again. And so I would love it if he was sold on peace and had the peace, but we know at the end times that there's both talk of peace where there's not really any peace, on what's going on. So people are questioning Trump. Did you really create peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan, who've been at war from time immemorial? Or is this a pause because you offered people some money or something like that? So I think that's in the air. Like you said, we don't have to be diplomats to kind of question what's going on. We can hope.
Yeah, and talking about bringing peace to that region, what does that mean? Because there have been times of peace, but it always comes to an end.
Yeah.
So history will tell the score.
But I mean, I do think that commerce and promised chance at money isn't used enough for peace. I think Trump is the one that's brought that in because I don't like you, but if you and I can do business and really make money, then that's a motivator that is not used enough in motivating for peace, because all that Middle East people, they want to do business and make money and stuff, and that can be a proper motivator, and Trump has jumped on that. I don't even like Trump, but he has done a good job.
Well, and much of the prophetic imagery that the Bible gives us are of multi-faced, multi-head individuals.
Yeah.
And Trump very much embodies a multi-faced individual in the sense of, in one time he speaks as a dove, and another time he speaks as a lion.
Yeah.
As one time he speaks as a man of war, and now he's a man of commerce.
Right.
And I even think about the personification of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So we think about, the white horse and plague, and we see the red horse and the black horse and the pale horse and famine and all these different things that are going on, disease and war and peace. And he kind of embodies all of those.
If he's not the Antichrist quotient is raised by his kind of presence, because people are used to that kind of talking out both sides of your mouth.
Right.
Now I would hope that he would be a man of peace. If he got the Nobel Peace Prize, he would be called, he would say himself, I'm probably the greatest man of peace there ever was, or whatever. And so to me, that's either prospect. War or peace is something that Christians need to really say, Lord, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm for the peace of Jerusalem. I'm for America being peace through strength. But Lord, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
And your opening question there about what was our take on the possibilities hostages being returned. And there is some natural skepticism, but I think it's also fueled by our prophetic understanding, because this is either one of two things. If this is the beginnings of that covenant that then initiates the 7-year tribulation, then hallelujah. Maranatha, like we're there, and let's roll. Like it's about it's on, right? And rapture and all the things that are going to happen in tribulation, premillennial return of Christ. Okay, or if it's not that, then we know we're not done yet. And we know we're going to go through more cycles of peace, proposed peace, war, proposed peace.
The Bible says he'll confirm a covenant. So it's like a covenant that might's already in play, but it's going to be confirmed. And the Abraham Accords kind of feel that way or whatever. Well, the second thing I was going to talk about, this duplicity in President Trump, is Tomahawk missiles. Now, a Tomahawk is an Indian weapon. It's a little axe that Indians would use as a tool because they didn't have a lot of metallurgy. But then they would shoot their bows and arrows, and then they would attack you with their tomahawks. So it's a very Indian name, very American name for this missile. Well, these tomahawks can be launched from the air, can be launched from submarines and ships, and they can go 1,000 miles away, and they can hit a dime, right? Shock and awe from Iraq, launching on Iran, that's been done. But basically, both Biden and Trump have withheld not letting Ukraine attack with American weapons into Russia, right? We'll give you defensive weapons, but not offensive weapons. And now Trump's tired of Putin, and he said so, and he's letting loose weapons, and he's letting loose Ukraine, and we see the tit for tat because Kiev gets hit by Putin every single night. Innocents are dying. And so Trump's like, we're going to give him tomahawks, green light, go. That means American weapons are probably going to come with American intelligence and satellite information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are going to be going and hitting high-value targets in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, places that have been off mark, probably at some pretty high-end military bases and stuff like that. So Trump has said that in the last 24 hours.
So the Block 4 Tomahawk
Yeah.
is 900 nautical miles, which is about 1,000 miles as a crow flies.
Yep.
The Block 2 is 1,300 nautical miles. So we're talking 1,400, 1,500 miles.
We're talking practically range. The length of the United States. Like right, D.C. could shoot L.A.
That the Ukraine could then attack into Russia.
So basically that's putting Moscow in their sights. And we've not wanted to escalate the war, but this is definitely escalation. So Trump has said, yeah, and then Putin's come out and said practically, this is a declaration of war. They've been saying it for weeks, but now that the Tomahawk, like we blinked at their threats, and so Putin is saying this is now war. So it's been, planes going across borders and threatening NATO and rattling sabers and all that kind of stuff. But the thing that's interesting me, guys, is that a lot of American websites are saying Putin's almost done. Putin's about to lose power. They're having their own civil underling, wars and stuff like that. But then Putin is saying America's almost done. They're having their underling civil wars. And I mean, we are having all this kind of civil thing. And Trump is trying to make sure that we don't get into play where Soros, a.k.a. communist money or something, is hiring people in our cities to create this fifth column havoc, right? And we might be doing the same thing in Russia. Who knows? With other people. But both guys are saying the same thing. Well, that's war. You're declaring war. Both guys are saying, oh, you're having civil war. You're done. Your economy's blown. It's like the same playbook. It's like they're both relying on AI for their diplomacy and war fighting, and AI is playing both against the middle because they seem to be saying the same thing. You know what I mean? They're playing off the same thing, and they're playing the same chess with the same chess expert behind them. But I'm saying it sounds awfully a lot alike, and I hope there's somebody in the room that isn't just looking at what the AI says, but a human being that's really got some sense.
This is Matthew Broderick and War Games.
Great movie, 1988. 1988, fantastic. And what does he say? He says the best way to win thermonuclear war is not to play. Yeah. So, Jackson, what do you got?
There's probably never been a better time to work propaganda. I know, looking back, we look at the propaganda cartoons of World War I and II, and I almost look at them and they're almost a little comical, and they were, and that was the level of. But it was real, and people would see those, and they would tug on their patriotism, or man, I don't like that. Well, now everyone, thanks to the cell phone, Russia has direct access to every American that's got a cell phone, and vice versa.
Sure.
But I do think that Russia and China probably play it a little more.
hold their cards
closer, and there's things that China has access to and knows about the average American citizen. I wouldn't say that we have nearly that, and it's with Russia too. So you're talking about what the information that the public's getting. Oh, Putin might be done, or this is happening in America. You don't know where it's coming from. There's whole propaganda farms. Yeah. And it's hitting everybody's phones, and it's just a crazy to be a propagandist. I don't know, the guy that you're pushing the propaganda. It's like you're living in a gold mine of opportunity to reach everybody. Yeah. Everybody.
Well, we've always kind of said, Russia, the communists, China, they're the bad guys and we're the good guys. But I think something, and I always come back to this because I'm not a Trump fan, and yet Trump brings out some good things, and that is like he's pushing the Europeans and NATO like, you guys need to protect yourself because we're not going to get into war for you, etc., which I think is fantastic. And yet, I think that the European Union has been playing us for a long time. The European Union's like, okay, yeah, Russia there, United States there. The European Union is not relying upon the United States. We're not necessarily a great ally of the European Union. They've been buying Russian oil and fueling the Russian war machine.
Trump just called out Germany big time for that.
Oh yeah, and now he's meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister right now because the Canadian Prime Minister is buying weapons, subs from Germany, as opposed to United States weapons or whatever. And so Trump basically called him down, and he's getting brought to the White House today. So he's
called to the principal's office.
Oh, it's going to be bad today in regarding that.
Yeah, of all the things you got to appreciate about President Trump, he wants a fair shake, and we've not got that from the UN or NATO or any of these things we've been involved in. It's all American money, effort, and everything, but with no gain. And Trump is,
he's not
I'm going to get
necessarily,
mine.
I mean, he's a negotiator, right? The art of
Right.
the deal. But to him, it's all reciprocal.
Right.
It's like, no, it's transactional. Which, I mean, I think that's good to have in a president every once in a while because I'm not that diplomatic, right? And my vice president's not being that diplomatic. And my Department of War is not being that diplomatic on things. Now, I think Marco Rubio is probably our best bet for being someone who's really great diplomatically. He speaks Spanish, so down south, people don't know what he's doing for us down in South America and Central America. He is, for such a time as this.
He's got culture.
He is doing a great job with Panama, Colombia, even Brazil. He's kind of been able to just because he's that. But of course, his family was Cuban, right? So he's anti-communist and all that. So I guess what I'm bringing out here is, today Trump is realizing I did all this stuff and they're not giving me the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, when Obama made fun of him, in 2011, he basically said in his mind, okay, I'm going to run for president. Yep. And everybody mocked, and he ran for president. And then when they got him out and they tried to arrest him and throw him in jail and put all these things against him, he goes, okay. And so now he's president again. And now this time he has the benefit of doing what he's doing. This has all been planned for what he's doing. And so
we might take over Norway so we can declare who's the Nobel Prize from here on out.
No, it's going to become the Trump Peace Prize.
Yeah. Yes, the
He's
Trump.
Start his own Peace Prize.
What I'm saying is this today is going to be a poignant point in that man's mind. But we know the Lord is the one that's directing it. So whether he gets it or doesn't get it, whether he's the man of peace or whether he's snubbed on that and kind of turns to, all right, because we're on the cusp. We're talking peace in the Middle East. At the same time, we're talking, here's some tomahawks, and we're talking war in the Middle East. So I guess if you're a president, you have to be able to have both, right? But we know this is a poignant time, and it can turn not just in 2 years, it can turn in 2 minutes.
Well, and so the difference between his first term and his second term is the people around him have kind of realized there is the Trump game you have to play. Mm-hmm. And there is kind of like the deference, the respect, Trump is the greatest.
Yep.
And yet I think they believe in the cause, and so they're like, it's worth doing that, the kind of like humoring him a little bit in that way. And even world leaders have realized, and even tech giants, Cook from Apple is like coming and shining the boots.
Yep.
Because he realizes, it's better for me that way. But then to also realize that the greatest way you can harm Trump, and you can't harm his popularity, the greatest way to get into his head is to snub him.
Yes.
Like that is the way into his head.
Yes. You can play it either way.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the chink in the armor.
Yeah.
Because you can't popularity. He knows he can out microphone you. He can out bully pulpit you. He can out military you. He can out spend you. He can out everything you.
If we can try to set a trap, let's try to snub him and get him here where we want him to be.
And those same cabals, which is probably the right word, that determine the Nobel Peace Prize are still those cabals are connected to the cabals that kind of control all foreign affairs and European affairs beyond national identities.
Yeah.
I mean, those are as close as you get to the demonic influences of principalities and powers.
There's a video out there about when he went to England and had the state dinner with King Charles.
Yep.
And it was a spectacular state dinner. It was unlike any that they'd had. But next to Charles and him were the top 5 richest men, the top tech moguls. I mean, it was an elite of elite at that particular table that either Trump brought to the table to support King Charles, or that King Charles brought to the table to support, or that they were chess playing on who's going to play what. That was another meaningful day. And so today is important. I got a couple more things I want to talk about, but let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to come back and do a part 2 of Trump and the Nobel Peace Prize. And, guys, 1 Thessalonians 5:3 says they're going to say peace and safety, and sudden destruction is going to come upon them. And so today's one of those days where you're it's teetering, it's quaking, right? Jerusalem shall be a cup of trembling unto them. And so it's very poignant that we're talking about this today, and hopefully we can get it out for people to see tomorrow, because I think people want to hear, what am I supposed to know? What am I supposed to think? Because some people aren't, they're not following any of this. And so, folks, thanks for watching. Remember, the best culture is a Bible culture. It's proven and it works. Come back for part 2.